Hey Gary, how are you?
Hey Don, how are you?
I know, but before we logged on, everyone, we were just comparing who was the prettiest today, and I think you won for prettiest, didn't you?
Well, my vote would go in a different direction. I'm just saying.
well, I'm pretty. You're prettiest. So
Please, we all know that I'm the Rhoda to your Mary.
Oh, shut up.
I've accepted it,
Okay, well,
and I'm moving on.
Okay, put that in your pocket and smoke it.
Oh, I don't smoke anymore.
Two metaphors don't work together. Anyway, what are we talking about this week?
So this week we have two guests from our past.
Are they mystery guests?
That we will be talking with in our segment. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time.
Can we consider
So
them
that's what we're
mystery
doing.
guests?
That's my tease right there.
Okay,
We have two
fine.
guests.
Okay, fine. We'll be right back then. Got it. Welcome back, and welcome to Don and Gary Doing 60. My name is Anastasia Beaverhausen. Who are you?
I'm Lavica Trickleson.
I haven't heard that one in a long time.
If you're a Carol Burnett fan, you know where that came from.
Well,
I don't know why I just came up.
it's a good one. That was a good one. Listen, we're here to unwrap and unpack navigating the world at our age. Sorry. Ooh, that was
Yes.
loud, wasn't it? At our age.
Say it. Say it.
Well, I said it too loud, but you can find us on
Loud
Apple-
and proud, Don.
Oh, God.
Loud and proud.
Okay.
We're 60. We're over 60, but you know.
Okay. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever amazing podcasts are found. We're on Instagram at Don and Gary Doing 60. And if you really want to get a full visual load of us, full frontal, the full Monty, please check us out for our full episodes on YouTube at Don and Gary Doing 60. And if you haven't noticed a trend and you'd like to email us, you can contact us at donandgarydoing60@gmail.com. Good
You
plug,
put it
right?
all out there in more ways than one.
How was your week? How are you doing?
It's good. You know, I think I mentioned that I'm working from home now.
Yes.
We decided not to renew our office lease. So I either just completed 4 weeks or I'm going into 4 weeks. But now my commute, rather than driving from my home to my office in San Rafael across the Golden Gate Bridge, 40 minutes in the morning and about an hour on the way back. Now my morning commute is from my bedroom to my dining room. Just a few steps. But here's the kind of the jaw drop for me was that I would fill up my gas tank like once a week. So all that driving, I'd have to fill up my gas tank once a week at roughly $50 per tank. And then the bridge toll coming back into San Francisco, $9.25 each time. So I did the math for a month. It's like $360 just in gas and bridge toll that I'm saving.
Great.
Not, oh, that'll be nice. I'll start paying off some bills.
Putting that away.
And a time saver.
Yep.
One thing, the big change. We had our Halloween party last night, which was fun. Here in our, where I live, in our courtyard. Good turnout, tons of food, and I broke out the Superman costume.
Oh my God. Really?
And like
the hair? Did you bring the hair
said,
out?
and other people said, I brought the hair out, and let me tell you, every single person, like, they love my costume, but what the hair, because it's a vinyl wig that I wear, and it's got the Superman hair with the little curl. But, my hair, well, it doesn't look now, but it is a little longer. So I was talking to a friend this morning, he said, did your hair shrink? Because it's hard to, like, shove the gray underneath the
which
vinyl
hair?
wig.
Your costume.
My
hair.
real hair, my natural hair.
Did your real hair shrink?
Because I put
was
the
question?
vinyl wig on,
Right.
and it doesn't completely cover my hair. So my gray was peeking out. But,
Well, if I had a nickel
Superman
every
gets
time
older
I had
too, I
that.
assume.
Yeah,
What's
well,
that?
It happens. It happens to the best of us.
Mm-hmm.
So
Things
what made
speak out
you
on you.
break out that costume? Because we've talked that on the other podcast Actually, I'm going to have to pull out a picture of it because I'm sure I have a photo of it somewhere.
Oh yeah, and I posted some on social media last night. But I hadn't worn it. The last couple parties we had, I was the pumpkin one year. I was
love the
the
pumpkin.
Jack of Diamonds one year. One year I dressed up as a ballot box.
People
But, you know,
make
I was
some,
just dressed
deposits.
in all black, and I had a box that said, vote here, or
Okay.
put it in here, or something like. I don't know. Probably a little PG.
Put it in here.
Shove it in here. Something. I forget what
Wow.
it was. But yeah, so I've tried to mix it up. But I hadn't worn that in a couple years, so I thought, you know what, it's time.
Okay.
Because we have election coming up, so we need a little Superman in our
Actually,
life.
that's quite opportune to do that one again. If you're going to pull it out, that's since the election's so around the corner right now.
Oh, I'm pulling it out.
I thought you were putting it in. Okay, well, again. So sorry if you can see in the back, I've got dog guards. We're in Palm Springs this weekend, and the dogs like to look out the window. And there's nothing to see out there, so from time to time you might see dogs. Okay, reel it in. Okay, we're done. Sorry. Guys.
Are they barking? I can't hear them.
They're just kind of growling, looking out the window, but they like to perch
okay.
over there and protect the house for some reason. From I don't know.
Look,
what.
it's part of your life, and
Sorry about that.
you're over 60 and you have 2 dogs. Okay, let's move on.
And that's all allegedly. These might be stuffed, and I might
Allegedly.
not be over 60. So there you go. That's all hearsay until proven in a court of law.
Anyway, so you're saying there's an opportune time, so
An opportunity with
Finish with
voting
that.
coming up. The huge
Yeah.
election is coming up.
oh my
Every
God, I
candidate,
get so
not
many
just
text
presidential
messages and
candidates.
emails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually did contribute at the beginning of the election cycle, to a candidate. And now that we're best friends, apparently, and every day
Okay.
she's asking for a little bit more. And it's like, okay, well, we'll see.
Typical.
Yeah, I know, right. So, yeah, I think I went to the dermatologist this week. That was interesting. Because apparently,
Was this
at our age, we should
Go ahead.
go often. Like every year, we should go at least once just to have, a little checkup, to have things looked at.
Were there any concerns you had ahead of time, or
No.
was it just kind of a regular check-in?
It was a regular checkup, but a few years back, I did have a melanoma removed from my shoulder from the sun. Because, before we all knew any better, we were out in the sun all the time. I did the tanning booth
Yeah.
thing way back in the day, which was a huge mistake in hindsight. But it's actually interesting that their examinations they're so efficient right now. And I did have like a small mole removed and biopsied because it was just there, and she said, take it off. So I said, look at this. She said, take it off. We're going to take that off. We're going to cut that out, or whatever. And it's really fast, but I'm very impressed with their process, because she's like, okay, she felt around with her gloves, said, said she drew on that and said, okay, chop, and then all of a sudden, then her assistant, Louie, came in, and Louie said, okay, what are we going to do? Said we're going to do this, that, and this. And they said, it took like literally 2 minutes. He was in and out, and Louie's like, okay, here, hold this here, thanks. We'll see you next year. It was amazing. I'm so
Wow.
impressed. I'm very impressed with
Yeah,
the
I've
way
never
they
been
do
to a
it.
dermatologist, but then I wasn't like you. I wasn't one to really, spend a whole lot of time in the sun. Like now, for years, it's if I'm outside, I'm going to have a hat on and
Yeah.
sunscreen.
And that's something I hadn't really thought of, because she was looking at my scalp too. It's like, you know what, you wouldn't need to wear a hat. And where I live now, opposed to the Bay Area, where it's not always quite as sunny, the sun's pretty intense over
Right.
in Redondo, over in the South
Yeah.
Bay, and
Oh,
here,
for sure.
obviously, in Palm Springs. So just
Yeah.
a word to the wise kids: as we get older, take care of your skin. You only got one, and it's the biggest organ you own.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't take care of it, it's going to look like what they call like a tired old purse, or what?
Well, okay, yes. I don't want to be sagging and dragging.
I was going to say, so you're in Palm Springs because
Well, being who we are, the dogs need to have their coif. So we have a groomer that is actually excellent here, called from Tail Waggers. And they're a new business actually that opened up in Palm Springs. And it sounds so bougie, but they're a very good groomer. They take excellent care of the dogs. So we just plan sometimes just to come down for the day, have lunch, drop them off, have lunch, pick them up.
well, it's
go
close
back.
enough that it's kind of a nice little getaway, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like
But
what, like a 2-hour drive? Is that right?
2 hours, hour and a half if you don't have traffic. So it's really
Yeah, okay.
good. And it is what it is.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have kids, so I might as well pamper the dogs, right?
Well, you do have kids. They're just both four-legged and hairy.
Yeah, so
And I'm
that
not
was part
talking
of
the
it.
husband.
Well, ooh. Ooh.
Hello.
So I'm excited we're bringing back this segment again. It's actually catching on a great deal, so people are lining up. I'm very excited that we have a few people in the queue for this segment, just because it's great to talk with other people. Not that I don't love talking with you. I do love talking with you, but I talk to you all the time. It's nice to get a perspective from some of our friends and colleagues that are, basically around the same age we are, and see how they're dealing with life and asking them questions. And I'm very excited. So, again, just as a reminder, if you would like to be on the podcast before we come and get you, because eventually we will find you and we will get you. Yes, you can contact us at the email address or DM us on Instagram. That's how the kids say DM. So, yeah, we look forward to more people joining us. And our mystery guests should be along any second. Hopefully.
So, question. So, when was the last time you saw them in person?
Is such a good question. The one of them I had seen at a get-together at Phoebe's house a number of years back. I actually might have been both of them. I'm not sure if they were together that time, but I can't use their names.
Well,
until
we'll
they
ask
come
them.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's. How about you?
Because we're all local here, I've seen them a couple times. We've gotten together at different, whether it's, I think we all did a dinner and a show. We went to a great German place in Hayes Valley, Soup and Kitchen. And then we all went to, I want to say the Symphony. There was probably like six or seven of us. And so that was a fun gathering. Wait, but you came to my party at the beginning of the year, celebrating my 20-year anniversary of my condo. Did you come to that?
I believe so. That was the one in
January or
clubhouse.
February?
No, that was the one. Where was that one?
Oh, no, that was my 60th. That was 2 years ago.
That's the one I
But I had a party beginning of this year, of 2024. I do see them periodically.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, so they are two friends that we went to high school with. They are a year younger than us.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. We'll let them own up to it. I spread the joy.
You're a giver.
I am. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how long it's been since you've seen them, because you've been away 6 years?
6 years now from the city, but I mean, honestly, we didn't have that many opportunities to see each other when I was there. Yeah. So other than when people do, although you guys seem to be a lot more active now recently in the last few years, where people are getting together.
Well, I think there's a couple people, once they were living out of there and they moved back into the area. It just kind of word got out. So, hey, so-and-so's back, so let's try and, whether it's a holiday thing or, we got together about 2 weeks ago, a group of 6 of us for dinner in the East Bay. So we all met in Emeryville. But tonight, since we're still waiting on our guests, tonight I'm meeting up with 2 of our friends, Shirley and Gigi. We're going to have dinner and go to the Filoli estate. Filoli, it's the... And a couple years ago, a friend and I took our moms for the holidays, so it was obviously dressed up for Christmas. But we're going to go there tonight.
Oh, look. No.
I
okay,
see
kids.
Okay,
here's your first
kids.
coaching. Move closer together. There you go. And I need half of Jeff there. Okay, now okay. And now I see you both. So you're going to have to hold that position the whole time. Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Nice.
I'm a little afraid
from
what's behind you. Can you see us?
My God, the Aragon Godspell stages.
Oh my God.
These are all things that we all participated in high school.
Dracula, I
don't remember.
Our lives.
Because they are the stages of our lives, right? Isn't this what...
That's very sweet.
Yes. So, welcome to our podcast, everyone. This is our segment called Ain't Nobody Got Time for That. And our special guests are Cee Cee Rebele and Jeff Rolston. Welcome. How are you?
Hey, guys.
Wonderful. How are you guys?
Good. We were just chatting about when's the last time
Thank you.
we each saw you in person. So I obviously have seen you guys in person. I just remember the last time. Did you come to my party in January when I had my 20th anniversary here?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the last time I saw you in person.
Yeah.
See, even that's been like 9 months.
And I think...
Oh, at the county fair.
Yeah.
I forgot, Don. We went to
county
check
fair.
out the pigs and the...
We saw
went to,
briefly. We saw each other
in the barn checking out the pigs and
That's
the
right.
ducks and the...
What kind of bar was it? Oh, the
Barn.
barn.
The
Look at where his
That was a
brain
bar.
goes.
Barn.
Why wasn't I at the bar?
I didn't know they have a bar
Right, so
at
we
the
were
county
hanging out with a
fair.
bunch of smelly animals.
And I'm going to say, Jeff, I think the last time I saw you was Phoebe's house.
Yeah.
And then Cee Cee, I don't even remember the last time we saw each other.
She probably saw you at your place.
When I was stalking you, maybe.
No, you had a little party in your old place in the communal room.
Yeah.
In the city.
And I
right?
brought
Okay.
the chicken from
H&L.
yeah, and it was way too much.
Brought chicken for $50.
Yeah, and then I had to leave because I had to get my shift at work started.
Okay.
But we were
So
close
that's
to
been
the
a few
Tenderloin,
years.
so I just dropped her off.
Yeah.
Well, now that we got all that out of the way, thank you for joining us. Gary, you were going to say
course.
something. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was saying, so if the last time Cee Cee saw you was here in San Francisco, that's over 6 years ago, 'cause you've been gone for 6 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, guys, we have this round of questions that we like to go through with you, but maybe you want to explain all that stuff that's hanging behind you, because it sounds like it's intentional unless you just always have that stuff hanging around.
So I found it in the garage a couple months ago when I was cleaning,
Okay.
and intended to hang it up in here. Inspired it. That's probably not where they'll go because they're a little low. We don't have a lot of short friends who would be their eye level.
Well,
And I've
So
got
you
a
don't
few
hang out with
other-
tall people.
I was just going to say, not necessarily stuff that... I mean, some other stuff from Aragon, Tom Sawyer, and Love Rides the Rails, and The Fantastics. But then some stuff from my sister, the guy who wrote Stages,
Yeah.
when she dated him for forever. I have a couple things from his shows in Los Angeles that he did.
I forgot that was a thing. Okay.
Bruce Kimmel.
Bruce Kimmel, yes.
Still alive, as we know.
Yes, he's alive. Yeah.
So I want to see the one for the grass harp.
I know I have a program from that because I drew the front of it.
Yeah.
I remember
Oh
that.
my God.
And
Yeah, so
for
that's one of our connections, is that
Yeah.
all the plays
But
and
maybe we
productions
should
that were
explain
done
that a
in
little
high
bit
school.
to some of our listeners too, because basically we were all the theater geeks at school together, and we did a lot of plays. You can see the programs behind Jeff and Cece's heads. So we were the ones always hanging out in the center court and I guess doing kinds of shows and all that kind of fun stuff that led us to our paths of success on Broadway and in the movies, right? So it all
right.
paid off, I think.
But I will admit that I was not on stage talent. I would be, a stagehand. I'd be behind the scenes.
Yes.
I think
was
the only time I
Puppet
was
Master. Gary was.
the only time I was on an actual stage in one of our productions is I was an extra. There's supposed to be a group of people, and I didn't have any
you?
words, no lines. Yeah.
That would be like a treat.
And then Cee Cee, you were never on stage. You were the creative one.
Well, he was in the drama productions. So my claim to fame in high school was Emily as
Our Town.
Our Town.
But that's when we
Okay.
were seniors.
Okay, that's why I didn't know that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you kids are a year younger than us, is that correct?
Allegedly.
Don and I are. Don, tell them how old we are.
I can't remember because it's just a number I can't.
He's blocked it out.
No.
Be proud, Don. We're 62.
Are we? Okay.
When you
Yes.
get to a certain point, that's when you have to start taking that, Prevagen,
Yes.
I forget.
Yeah, you remember to take it, if you remember.
I had a friend's mom who was taking there was something else supposedly that helped your memory before a drug, and it was just a vitamin
remember what it
a
is.
supplement. Well, but she says, "Well, my mom's taking this now," and I said, "Well, is it working out?" She's like, "Well, she can remember to take the pill."
Other than that,
Yeah, that was
prognosis not so good.
Now that's where we are.
That's funny. So that means we've known each other more than a few years. So then you both moved to the Bay Area, and then so you connected at some point at Aragon, or when did
Yeah.
you meet?
Yeah.
Okay, so your junior, or your freshman year.
Yeah, I think we were in French class together.
Yeah. Did you sit behind me? I only wore jeans and hoodies back then, right? Jeans and zipper up hoodies. And you would put things in my hoodie.
Like what?
And that's how it started.
It didn't start off as a very good relationship.
And I, sixth period, I'd be like, what the fuck is in my hoodie?
You're walking around all day.
Pencils, garbage.
I think we know the episode, the way we're going to name this episode is What the Fuck's in My Hoodie? That's what we're going to call it.
I think when I was a sophomore or a junior, where all I wore were white painter's pants and blue sweatshirts.
I remember painter's pants.
And I had, 10 pairs of white painter's pants and 7, not hoodies. They were just pullover plain blue sweatshirts. So
Yeah, you knew not to wear a hoodie because someone might put stuff in their hoodie.
it's true. But I had those painter's pants with big pockets so I could store stuff to put in people's hoodies there.
So obviously you two have known each other for quite a while, and you
embezzlement and carrying things over the border seems to be a theme with us.
Yes, that's true.
What do we call that? Smuggling.
Smuggling.
Yes.
We got detained in Mexico one time for smuggling into...
okay, please share.
Oh, a bottle of...
Well, I think that I lost my virginity that time. I
No,
didn't
she was
know.
well past the time that happened.
Not well past, actually.
We both went to school at San Diego State for a semester, and I would pick her up in my little white Volkswagen Bug Friday after her statistics class or something like that, and we'd drive down to the border, park the car, and then go into Tijuana and drink beer and margaritas and eat food and stuff. And she discovered purchasing things that you couldn't purchase in this country.
I must have that.
Was it blueberry liquor
Some
or
kind of
something?
a blueberry liqueur in a fancy, weird shaped bottle, and of course, donkey shit cigarettes.
And those were what? They were legal, you just
They were legal
buy them in the States.
But, she got it cross the border a couple times with stuff. Third time's a charm, and not when then you were detained for secondary inspection. And to me, it was the whole midnight, it spread the whole thing. There was going to be cavity searches. Everything was going to be I knew it. And I had 2 driver's licenses with me because I'd lost one and then found it. And then there was going to be a fine, and I always blow things out of proportion. Oh my God, it's going to be $1,000. How are we going to get it? We can't call our parents.
We can't call our parents.
And it was like $10 or something like that.
But I was taken to the other room by a woman
Oh my.
Well, they had to
make sure I didn't have any other contraband
in her brassiere.
in my brassiere.
Or in your cavity.
Very much.
Well, I must say, this has taken such an interesting turn. It was nice having you on the show. Next time on Don and Gary doing 60. Bye. Yeah, my God.
Don,
We have
if they
fugitives.
allow us back on the air.
What? They have 2 fugitives bringing contraband blueberry liqueur and donkey shit cigarettes across with cavity searches. Jeez.
We went from school plays to cavity searches.
I think we just went viral, Gary. I think that's what just happened. Thank you.
I don't think it's that far of a leap.
Can you come back again?
Well, we'll have to clear it with our parole officer. If you hear a humming, that's just our ankle monitors. They're usually close together.
Okay, so guys, I gotta admit, I never heard. Well, I haven't talked to you guys for a long time, but you were holding on to that little nugget to share with us. That's perfect. I gotta say.
Oh my
what else you
God.
got? we're
Then we have to do our own podcast.
Hey, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Actually, I'll produce it for you. So yeah. Well, Gary, were you expecting that?
We were going to start out with a couple of questions, but now I think those are thrown out. We have a whole new set of questions.
Like, how was prison? Did you enjoy it?
That's when I finally got my cavity search. It changed my life. Life-changing. Talk about life-changing things. That was it.
That's how I met my husband. Oh my God.
Oh, I shouldn't even say this, but one of my favorite prison terms is keistering something, which is a real
and it was
term.
good to have you on the show again. Thanks so much. Next time you want to see Don and Gary doing 60. Bye.
Smuggling something in a cavity. So there you
What
go.
movie was that?
Keistering.
Going hard.
I keistered it.
Yes. Well, that was a Will Ferrell movie. It was hilarious.
Oh, that's right.
Gary, note to self: next time we have guests on the podcast, we do need a little more of a,
Background.
Yeah, background.
Background check, little screeny.
We were so well behaved in our dry run, weren't we?
You did not share this in the dry run.
I'm a wholesome, lovely person. I'm a teacher.
Yes,
I'm
you are,
yeah.
but maybe not for long.
Well, maybe he had a dry run, but this is a very wet run if you're talking.
Oh, God.
Hello.
Okay. Gary, reel us back in.
I'm going to reel us in and maybe ask a couple questions to kind of, Anyway.
Take it down.
So obviously the name of the podcast is Don and Gary Doing 60. So one of the questions I had for each of you was, because are you admitting to that you're 60 or older? Let's start
61 and loving it. Yeah.
Okay. So was it a difficult transition from that 59 to 60?
No, I mean, at a certain point, I think all the years kind of blend together. But I mean, the big, 40 is kind of a weird one, and 50, I don't know, it didn't seem that bad. 60, and for each one of those milestones, I wanted to have some kind of big blowout party, and it just never happened. I mean, it tests to my fine organizational skills, I guess. But yeah, they've just I've been fine with turning 60. Every once in a while, you look in the mirror and you go, "Who the fuck is that?"
Every morning I do that.
Then I put some eyebrows on and try and brighten up my face and okay, I look alive. So
was one of those milestone ages maybe a little bit more challenging or made you think more or reflect more?
I don't think so. Everyone is a little bit different, I think. I'm sorry, there's a cat attacking here.
Going crazy.
I think it's been less of a milestone thing as a transition, as a developing, myself into what I am and what I will continue to change and be.
Yeah.
The milestones are kind of nice because I think then you think about it. You think, what was I doing when I was 50? Where was I when I was 50? And, was I in a good place? Was I in a bad place? And where am I now? And I'm in a much better place, or am I struggling or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, because I know for me, it never made a difference. And although those milestones are important, and I did try and, I did a party for my 30th and my 40th and my 50th. I did a party and then a trip to Italy. My 60th was a big party, right? So I'm not shying away from it, but I never felt like dreading, turning the clock into the next decade. It just, because I don't think about it a lot. You can be a certain age, but I've always felt younger than the age on the calendar.
Yeah.
It's a state of mind,
Yeah.
And it's
we
basically
look
just a
back
number. It's just a number, right?
Yeah.
For all of us. I don't think it's anything where people are ruminating on.
Right. I'm not obsessed with it. Yeah.
I say that about the scale too.
Yeah.
It's a weird number. I don't like it, but
So
Yeah, I just got a scale a couple months ago. I never had one before. I don't want to know. I don't want to look. No.
So guys, I noticed, I'll just share like a personal experience too. When I moved from the Bay Area down into the South Bay, I was in a profession, had to look for a new job. And I experienced a huge amount of what I interpreted as ageism. And I know that all of us, reinvent ourselves every number of years, job, health, personal situations, locations, living situations, breakups, whatever. Have you experienced any ageism in any regards, with regards to a job or people making assumptions about you because of your age?
I have. I mean, I've noticed it at work sometimes, and you're sort of it plays itself out twice. You have all this knowledge of the organization, the historical knowledge, but you're not oftentimes considered for new projects or something because, you're the assumption is, and sometimes rightly so, your technical skills aren't as strong as someone who's 24 years old right out of it. And so I noticed that. I mean, I've been in the same job for over 25 years, so I haven't had to look for something, which is one of the reasons I've stayed here, because I think, people our age trying to find new jobs is horribly challenging.
Right.
And wrong. I mean, it's
like once they know that now you get the AARP magazine, I experienced a different type of thing, but this is going back in history to the high school. I went from high school where we went to high school, at San Mateo, and then to college, and then went back to high school. So when I was working with some of our professors that we studied with in high school, I often was sent for an assignment for the guidance department. Teachers would say, "Where's your hall pass?" And it's like, no, I work here. I work for the district office. I look back, I harken back, and that's a fond memory.
Okay. Yeah. But you've never had, and again, this is, of course, if you're applying for a job these days, and I haven't had to do that for a while, but it originally, when you do it, everything's electronic now, so you don't go into an interview. You do everything electronically. And the reason why I ask this question is because most times you are asked to provide dates, not just of employment, but also of your education, which automatically places you in an age bracket, which is why I was asking this question. So they want to know what year you graduated, high school and college, which automatically places you in an age group, which automatically also gets you pushed out of consideration in certain algorithms for.
And I think it does it faster now than before, when the first time they really saw you was when you showed up. Exactly. Because now it's weeded out long before you ever get there. I've heard this from other people, and the thank you for your application letter comes right away, and we'll contact you, which never then happens.
It's sometimes when you hit the enter button after you fill out the application. Thanks for coming in. It's like, we'll be in touch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Jeff, you said you've been in the same position or job for a number of years. Gary's actually done the same thing, and I think that's quite admirable too. There's nothing to speak to when it comes to your longevity in a job too, because I think that's very admirable, because most people don't do that, or a lot of people don't do that anymore. The kids are jumping from job to job every year or 6 months.
Yeah, this month marks my 36th anniversary working for my boss.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
And it took you that long to be able to work from home.
I'm a bit of a slow learner.
Cee Cee, you had mentioned that you had recently you're teaching something new, though, aren't you? Wasn't that what you meant?
Yeah, I think of myself, I've always been in the field of education. Now I've kind of gone into semi-retirement, but I really enjoy when I was counseling at Skyline College, the early childhood education kids. I call them kids. They were college students, but to me they were kids. And where was I going with that?
Your current job.
Oh, my current job. I'm working as a teacher in the field of early childhood education. So keeping track of all the kids' names in the school that I work for, that's good memory. God,
this childless cat lady here has pictures, children's art on the refrigerator from her job.
Because that was, I made a choice. Ended up not having any children of my own, which, we have a number of friends who have chosen or not chosen. It's just happened that they didn't go into that family and child rearing stage.
Mm-hmm. I have quite a few friends, same, and we're all in the same boat. Obviously, but I have quite a few friends too that they've made a decision that wasn't for them. So there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's a great choice, and also more income for you, huh?
So, Cee Cee, you mentioned that one of those keywords is retirement, and so when we get to a certain age, we start I've been talking about it or thinking about it for years. But is that something that either of you have thought about, or you just kind of, is it too far in the distance? Because you said semi-retirement, so that's why it made me think.
I'm looking at about 3.5 years when I turn 65. That'll give me 30 years and an okay pension and stuff. But I thought at 25 I was going to go for sure. And I may stay longer. I mean, we'll see, as long as they'll have me. I mean, they can't.
And it's how you're feeling too. If you're still in a good place, if you're still challenged, if you still enjoy what you're doing, then, you may say, okay, I'll give it another year or another 2 years, whatever. So.
Because we both, but basically, I mean, we were in government jobs I was for such a long time, school district wise and public education. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And that plays a part in deciding, when to leave also, because I work for the court system, and that branch of the state government is pretty much bankrupt. So while, San Mateo County is rolling in money, the San Mateo Superior Court is not hiring people and laying people off. Well, they didn't have to lay anyone off because enough people quit or they were able to redistribute them. But the money's not there, and part of it is because I think both local and state governments' pension plans were absolutely ridiculous, and that has led to us not having the money. So if my retirement were to change the plan somewhat drastically, I would probably leave, benefit-wise.
So were the retirement plans like too generous, or what do you mean by that?
Very generous.
Oh, okay. So basically they've been using up all the funds, all the money.
But it's my package is not that good.
Let's not start talking about our packages.
Yeah, I know.
Right. We went to prison and all this stuff in Mexico. No, we're not going back there. But so the question was going to be, have you thought about that? If eventually you will decide not to work or not, but if you were asked to retire, you made the decision to retire, have you thought ahead to what you might like to do? If you had, any magic wand that you could wave and say, okay, this is what I want to do next. Some people really don't think about it. Some people fantasize about it. I mean, there are people, have you thought about it at all? Is it something that you would like to do if you weren't working?
For me, I've always had this fantasy that I would move to the Cotswolds in England and get a little cottage and write the great American novel,
Oh.
Yeah, and then on the side work at a pub or something and get a taste for the local town, that village.
That sounds really sweet.
And you have a
that's
wench on the
just
side. That's great.
Yeah, bar wench on the side. So two of my passions really. But yeah, I have the luxury of being able to choose my days as a kind of a substitute teacher, not kind of, as a substitute teacher. So I work about 3 days a week. I love it. I would do it as long as I could because I love the kids. And then I also have the free time to kind of watch out for my elderly mother and also pursue theater again and music as I've always done. So I get to play and work, and to me it's great until my body gives out. Yeah.
So it's a good balance of work and the things you enjoy doing, which is the theater and production.
Good. She's fun to watch. I mean, and you can tell she enjoys what she's doing. It's the most horrible experience while she's rehearsing, and she doesn't listen to any of my coaching. And then when you see her on stage, she's absolutely having the time of her life, which I think which I like going to see her do that. She goes, oh, you don't have to see this. It's not going to be a good show. You don't have to see it. The last show, Legally Blonde, I mean, her mom about came out of her seat at the end, clapping and stuff. And she really could care less about, going to see those things. But yeah, I mean, it was great. Yeah.
And why aren't we hearing about these shows?
I post it on Facebook. I post all the shows on Facebook.
Now she'll actually
I don't know. I may be ousted from the actual stage presence. I really was the oldest person on the stage there. And that's an interesting point to make too. Even though I was the oldest person involved with these theater productions, those college kids and beyond, I mean, they were all people in their 20s. 20-somethings, maybe a 30-something, but they included me, and it was so refreshing.
Oh, that's amazing.
It made me feel very young at heart. And you couldn't not have fun with those those kids, my theater pals, my fellow thespians.
And those are the types of experiences that kind of keep you wanting to go on and do more. And okay, the next show's coming up. Yeah, I want to be involved.
And hey, I'm going to be able to see, if I live long enough, I'm going to be able to see them winning that award and go, I knew them when they were just... Isn't that, do we all do that now? Or,
I don't know. Or you'll be able to visit them when they're working the sales counter at Macy's. I mean, either one.
My students from Peninsula High School.
So, kids, are you considered? You're not boomers because you missed it by a year, right?
Boomers.
Are
No,
you
I think
boomers
we're-
with us?
Yeah.
Okay.
63.
Okay, so there's a lot discussion around generations, right? Millennials, Gen X, Gen Z, and now alphas. Have you noticed a definite behavior difference between our baby boomer groups and the kids? Like you're working with 20-year-olds, do you see like a lot of behaviors you hadn't noticed before, or that you kind of are critical of or take notice of?
I do in my job.
You're both on the mic. We can hear both.
Yeah, it's this sense of they don't, and hers is very different because she's in theater, but in the sense that they don't know how to communicate. Their one-on-one or group communications is not very good. They will, like I have people who I'm in leadership where I'm at who are much younger, who never go over to somebody's cubicle and talk to them or ask them something. They send them an instant message. Mm-hmm. And everything is done through that rather than, I mean, I feel like Phil Donahue wandering through the office, talking to people all the way. What are you doing over here? And, I'm probably I'm a very odd boss because I also like to sing off-key songs that I don't know the words for, and I make them up. And, I still put things in people's hoodies and things like that. I'm always finding a meeting that I have to go to HR in my hoodie after I do that.
Yeah. And then your coworker's like, who's Phil Donahue?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's an interesting reference. So most people will ladies and gentlemen, Phil Donahue was a talk show host way back in the 70s or 80s.
Well,
Or Oprah.
I'm hoping this crowd will possibly get that.
Will relate.
Yes.
Yes. But, a television show, you make a reference to a television show and they're like, never heard of that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Never heard of it.
Right.
They make references to video games that I have no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
The first question is, do you kill people in it? Oh my God, no. No, I'm building a city. I'm like, all right.
You be you.
I want one to kill people. Kill aliens or centipedes or something like that. I'm not. Or just a ball bouncing back and forth from side to side.
Pong. Yeah.
Ooh.
So one of the questions we ask, since we've been talking about the younger generations, is what advice would you give your younger self? And you can pick the age, my 25-year-old self, my 30-year self. Is there something, if you look back, like, you know what? And then some advice or something smart to think of.
I think that when I was thinking about that question, looking back at my younger self, I would take better care of my feet, not wear the cruel shoes that I did. Although I wouldn't tell my younger self that. In looking back, I'd still tell myself, put on those cruel shoes, those 7-inch heels, because those made your stems look fabulous. So I'd still probably do it, but in retrospect, that was probably a bad choice. I did a number of things in my 20s that I had, being thin and being perfect were goals that I don't necessarily what do I want to say, inhabit anymore.
Well, they were obsessions.
They were, a little bit. And that's part of American woman society. That's part of being a woman in America, yeah.
Right.
And looking and focusing on those Vogue magazines, and it was crazy back then, yeah. my diet of, Diet Pepsi and Virginia Slims Menthol Lights worked, but it wasn't a very probably a very healthy choice.
Jeff, what about you?
I think I would go back, and I don't know what age, probably over a lot of ages, and tell myself to cut myself some slack, to not be so concerned about how I portrayed myself to people, to be more myself, to realize that it's okay, and who I am, always being afraid that people weren't going to like that. Well, anyone who's not going to like it, maybe that's not somebody who should be, in my life that much.
Right.
And, I used to get so, and I still do, and I it comes from, the house, the home we grow up in and the way our parents act, but my temper sometimes and it's not a bad temper, but it's very short, and I have to try to say, who cares? I used to sometimes come home and like 3 cupboard doors would be open and I would just be furious and I would slam them so bad. One time I broke one, and it's like, I need to get things right. Why isn't this in the right place? And at some point in my life I said, Jesus, Jeff, you're gonna die doing this, and who cares if the cupboard door's open? Who cares? Shut it, because you have to shut it, because if you don't, then you won't be able to go out of the house without licking the doorknob 3 times. But just shut it, and you don't have to say anything about it, because it's not anyone else's issue than mine.
Being the person who left the cupboard doors open.
Oh.
So you wanted order in your life, and you weren't having it.
Yeah, it's just it is. I go to my parents' house, and you'd leave a cup on the counter, and as you turned around to like catch a child falling off of a ladder, and when you turned back, the cup was in the dishwasher, emptied out and in the dishwasher. It's like, what the hell? It's like, it's on the counter, and I find myself doing that. I try not to do it as much, but, my answer is, well, you can open up the dishwasher and get it out again, not let it bother me.
We all are our parents.
Right.
Gonna say
Both
that
mom and dad.
because, yes,
Yeah.
but I think we can now all fully assume that mantle, because everything that we made fun of our parents for doing or being or acting like are all the things that are accumulating in our lives now in some form, maybe not as an intensive form, but in some trickle down to what they did. So yes, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. And I find myself when I'm interacting with my dad, because my dad is very intense, and the smallest little things like set him off, to try to say, hey, Dad, we'll figure it out. Relax. Don't worry about it. I don't do it because I've learned this thing in my life that I want to pass on to him. I just want him to be around for another day and not have a heart attack, because, he can't find the pencil, But I don't like to drive with him or ride with him in a car.
I just close my eyes and hang on.
So guys, another question. I know by the time this airs, we're probably going to be past the presidential elections, but it is upcoming right now while we're recording this. So in the next week or so, we're going to actually find out who. Well, actually, I think we're going to be prolonged with the results a number of months after the election.
Yeah.
But are you hopeful for the future right now? Are you in a good place about where we're at with our candidates now that they've changed from Biden to Harris? Is there, and you don't have to tell me where you're sitting when it comes to your choice if you don't want to, but are you hopeful for the future of the country? Are you hopeful for politics these days? Where are you at with that?
I think Jeff is, as a political science major, you're probably more equipped to kind of get to the root of maybe how you feel and why, more specifically than for me. It's just a feeling that, I have hope, but I am a little fearful. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
This is a person who really cared very little about politics and stuff for a huge part of her life. And in the last 10 years, or maybe a little bit less, has become very involved in learning and thinking about our future and the country and the people, and it's invigorating to see her do these things, because sometimes they're much more active than I.
Okay.
But I still go to him for a lot of questions. Hey, can you explain this thing to me? Yeah.
And I'm more hopeful than I was 6 months ago.
Okay.
I think. I'm a liberal person. I would vote for. I will vote for Kamala Harris and stuff. I think, as a country, we need to be better about our candidates from local governments up to our state governments. And I think our federal government is so out of touch with reality sometimes, because you look at their age. It does have something to do with that. And I'm not meaning to be ageist at all, but they're wealthy, they're isolated, they come back to San Francisco and live in their multi-million-dollar houses and get their hair cut at salons that are closed because of COVID, but they can get their hair cut at salons, and they're just out of touch. And we need to find candidates that can breathe life back into our political system.
Completely agree with you. Because of the point, I'm glad you got to that, because where I was going to ask you or try and lead you towards was where you took us, which was basically, I think as we are aging ourselves, we are also seeing that the political system is headed by people over 60, way into their 70s, some in their 80s, and they're all basically, like you said, kind of disassociated with what's really going on. And I would love to see more younger candidates. And the good news is that they're dying off. So the thing is that some of these candidates no longer can hold office, and I think that it'd be great to see a lot more younger blood coming into the political system to show where there are actually more open thoughts. And I on another podcast, I actually spoke about the demographics of how much the Gen Z is actually going to affect the future votes after the baby boomers start to trickle out of the voting pool.
And on both sides of the political spectrum. I think on the right side, however, and this is my bias, they have to. The left seems to not to be able to take a stand on much of anything these days, and we're so wishy-washy, and we want everyone to love us. And the right side, and I don't mean disrespect for this, though, has latched on to these single-issue things that they can't even have a conversation with somebody with a different opinion to share opinions. And that was, I spent my life hanging out with mostly people who were very politically different than me, and had some of the best conversations with them because there was a sharing of views and stuff. And I think I came away maybe knowing a little bit more about them and their view, and I think they came away knowing that about me. But I don't see that anymore. The division is so radical. And I hope that there are young conservative people out there who want to once again engage in a conversation, with everybody.
And who know that, and who can maybe understand that the Republican ideology is not what it is right now. It used to be a little different. I used to be a registered Republican. I have certain ideologies that are conservative.
Sure.
And I just at some point, and we can say when that was, and I just flip-flopped, and it's but
point,
even as a registered Republican, you can still vote for whatever party.
Correct.
Sure.
But we tend to follow what our parents do, and that
absolutely
is not thinking for yourself, which is we have to remember to what? Oh, we have to remember to tell the younger generation, you don't just do what your parents did. Think for yourself.
Yeah.
And And to where we're going with that is the reason why I asked that question, because there is a lot of people strive for that time where you can still hold your beliefs in your party, but you can actually have a discussion, to your point, Jeff, and also to your point, C, whereas basically you can reach across the table and you can disagree, but you don't leave the table angry at each other. You're just supporting your point. And as long as you can have an educated discussion about that and not get heated and just cross the line, like you were saying, like a single issue discussion, and have an open mind to listen, that's where I'm hopeful that we could get to someday, right?
In my mind, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I would love for the day where, when I was growing up, what I recall was they would, both sides would go across the aisle and have a conversation and listen, and maybe come away with a decision that was a win-win for both sides. And I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah, and it was
so decisive.
That was one of the great things about government stuff on really important issues, like many years ago on immigration or the border. They came together and under a democratic leadership. I mean, at the time, just that our president was a Democrat, we had some of the strongest border controls. So it wasn't a political thing. It wasn't a left and right and everyone worked together because it was an issue that we were facing, and it will always be an issue.
Right.
Given the fact that, unfortunately, the people who live south of our border live in some of horrible conditions and under horrible governments and run by the mob, basically, and stuff. And why wouldn't you want to escape that? Why wouldn't you?
All right, Don, I think we need to throw in some
Yeah, let's lighten this up for a minute.
Kind of mix it up.
You want to do it first, or you want me to
It's
do
all
it?
been good, but we need to lighten it up.
I was just building up to a fist-pounding event.
So before you both came on the scene, Don and I were talking about what we'd done this past week, and I told them that I had gone to a Halloween party yesterday.
I saw you, Superman.
Yes, so that would be one of my questions, is because, it's what I call dis or dat. And, no bias, just because I was Superman, but Superman or Batman?
For me, I'm always happy to be a Robin. Really. I mean, Superman seems to be a solo, get it done himself kind of identity, and I like to work as a team. I'd rather be if somebody's Robin.
Nice.
And she has the smooth parts already, so it's perfect.
Way to go, Jeff.
I think I would probably be Batman because I might have an opportunity of encountering Eartha Kitt. I mean, my God.
Right?
My favorite line from the old Batman series was someone said something to her and Eartha Kitt said, "Perhaps Batman."
Where did that come from? Oh.
Let me throw one more at you, and then this is also very close to my heart. Peanut butter, smooth or crunchy?
Super crunch. Extra super crunch.
Nice.
Almond butter.
Almond butter.
She's always got to throw something
Right?
different in there.
Okay, I've got one
Go
for you
ahead,
guys. Who would play you on TV or in a movie? You alluded to a sitcom another conversation ago, but...
Well, it is true that if you've seen the show Will and Grace, we are Will and Grace. Just,
Older. Heavier.
Little.
And West Coast,
And West Coast.
because they were New York. They were okay.
But people have even recently, someone told me, people told me I look like Candice Bergen, and I'm so flattered. It's like, really? But yeah, recently, as a couple months ago, has anyone ever told you look a little bit like Candice Bergen? It's like,
Nice.
yes, people have said that, and I'm flattered. Although whether she would play me in a movie, I don't know. It would probably be more character-wise. It might be, Sarah Silverman. I don't know. Kind of.
And I honestly, I don't know. I think of people who I always found funny and interesting. And of course, the two people that I think of are both have passed away now, but I mean, to me, it would be like if Louis Anderson, if he were to play me, and not just because of his size, because I just thought he was hysterical.
It was very funny. Yes.
And the other guy, I remember his name, and I Google him every once in a while. Actually, I think he's still alive.
What movie or TV show was he in? Do you know?
He was just a comic. He was a
Comic. Okay.
you know, yeah. But I can't remember. Yeah.
Now, Kevin Wise, if Kevin Hart would want to play me, that'd be great too. Although I'm taller, way taller.
Yeah, no,
And it's
All
funny,
right,
I go
fine.
kind of roly-poly guys,
Well,
I guess.
I've got one more if I could, because I mean,
Yeah, do
when,
it.
remember you guys started off with telling us about all your shenanigans in Mexico. But if you could start a rumor about yourselves,
Oh my God.
what would you do? These are hard questions. You didn't expect this kind of stuff, did
They
you?
are. I mean, because I can say I sang in Carnegie Hall. I mean, and that's true.
I would start a rumor that at one point I was offered, I don't know what she just did.
You did this.
Well, we all would start that. I mean, we all want that rumor. I mean, even me.
But it's not just this.
Yeah.
I would, something where I did something really, really horrible to somebody or something. Okay, the rumor would be that in a prior life I was employed by the government as a torturer. And that's seriously because I only say that because I think I could do that job. And I could come home, and I'm very serious, and sleep at night. I mean, I could,
This is taking a very dark
Learning
turn.
It's very
So much.
because it's so unlike me. I think I'm a pretty nice person, but
Well, then you may have seen that TV series Scandal. Did you ever watch that with Kerry Washington?
no.
So it's on like Netflix or another one. And I watched the whole thing, and two of the cast members, a part of her team, that's what they would do. They thrive on torturing people, and then they go back to their, normal self. Like, wow.
Note 2.
So note to self: go watch Scandal.
We've been watching the morning show, and it's fabulous writing. And,
Yes.
And
well, I was
you know,
asking
and
you
one
to
of-
binge
some
watch.
kind of rumor that I was really tight friends with, like Reese Witherspoon or something cool like that,
That's a good one.
Nice.
That's a good one.
and that she
Well, you can say
dates
you're Candace. What? How about the rumor that you're Candace Bergen's love child?
See?
But see, Candice Bergen, I think she's younger than me.
No, she's not.
Yeah, I don't know how that could biologically have happened, but
Who would be
That's
the
why
father
you were her
Charlie
miracle
McCarthy?
baby.
Mortimer Snerd would be the father.
Too funny.
Are we good,
All right,
Gary?
Don, what are we thinking? Are we
I think
good?
we're good. I got some
I have no.
questions,
After
but-
that, I have no more questions.
I'm thinking, I hope you haven't lined up a lot of future shows, because this one might put you...
Yeah, well, I'll edit you to look like Captain Tennille by the time we're done with this. Don't worry.
love will keep us together.
Exactly. So, Jeff and Cee Cee,
Oh my God,
thank you
too
so
funny.
much for joining us. This was really fun. Hopefully, we'll get
It
to
was
see you
really
again
fun.
soon. Yes, it was. We learned a lot about you.
Maybe a little too much.
Right?
There's
Just reached the first layer of our onions.
there's the whole
There's another title for the show: "The First Layer of the Onion."
There you go.
So,
Oh
Gary,
my God, too funny.
Yeah, thank you so much, you guys. We're going to take a little break, but don't go away. I'm going to step away, but I'd like to talk with you guys for a second, too. Okay, so don't go anywhere. Gary, you want to
Okay.
say goodbye so I can edit you in?
Goodbye, everyone. And we're back. Oh my God, that was so much fun.
We learned a lot about them and the Mexican border, didn't we?
And it took some twists and turns, but it was
Yes.
all really enjoyable. Oh my
Yes,
God.
it was great talking. So again, thank you, Cee Cee and Jeff. That was fun. Thanks for putting up all the old theater art. Ooh, boy.
Brings back those memories.
So you want to close
Anyway.
this down, Gary?
So are we good to wrap it up for this episode?
I think we are. Take us
Okay
there,
then.
please.
So, folks, he's Don, I'm Gary, and together we are doing 60. So you know where you can listen to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all your favorite platforms. And then with this new podcast, you can also watch us on YouTube. You can leave us a message through one of our social media platforms. If you want to email us, it's donandgarydoing60@gmail.com. And wherever you get a hold of us, we'd love for you to subscribe, leave comments, ask questions. If you want to be a guest, you're 60 or older and want to join us, let us know that. And I think with that, have I covered everything?
You covered it up, but really, everyone hit the subscribe button. Smash it down. Just touch it. It's very simple. You don't even have to watch the episode again. Just hit the subscribe button, please.
Just touch it. Touch it.
Touch it.
Just touch it.
Okay. Thanks, Gary. That was great.
All right. Till next time.
Till next time. Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Ho, 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 ho.